Hello and welcome to my channel. I wanted to do an introductory video and just kind of set the tone of what my channel is. A grief or Grief Grows a Garden is the name of my channel, and it is about the relationship between healing grief and gardening that I've experienced in my life. So it's been inspired by what I'm going to read my little thing I wrote. I'm sorry. It's been inspired by what I've been able to grow in the desert of my life and in the literal desert landscape. Several years ago now, I had a dream of becoming a midwife in a rural area and living on a large parcel with a small homestead kind of setup. I got as far with my family, my husband and one son. I got as far as the actual move to the country, but everything after that kind of crumbled in my hands. Shortly after we moved, my father died, and he left a mess of his life behind, with me in charge of cleaning it up. We lost the home that we owned, and then the most devastating, my son died during childbirth. My second. My application to nursing school somehow vanished in some administrative weak spot, and I realized that I would have to somehow rebuild my dream, my life. Gardening has always been in my bones. I can remember digging my first garden around 6 in the backyard, desert ground then too, and I planted radishes. That's the only thing I can remember coming up from that garden, and I don't know if that's because that's the only thing that would grow or if that's the only thing I planted, but I forced my family to try them and was devastated and humbled to be met with comments about their bitterness and that they didn't really like them. I digress, because I'm having a similar situation now with some arugula that I planted in my garden here at home. I've had this in my family. This is just in my DNA. Recently I came across some articles about a great-grandfather who had a write-up in the paper about his trees, his orchard. And my oldest brother had worked for years propagating plants and trees and building a plant business. So this is just falling into the natural order for me. And then I found myself in a place of grief where I really couldn't see any future. I mean, I knew I had to pick up what was left and somehow move on, but I couldn't see where to move to. I couldn't see what to hope for. I wanted to be hopeful, but the details were just still so gray. And I needed to ignite my imagination and creativity. And I had been using, alternative methods to cope with my grief and trauma already, and being outside and in the sun was a very fundamental one for me. And so while I was out there and in this new space in my life where I could be responsible for my environment and say that I want to change it and I want to make it more beautiful, I want to plant seeds here, I want to grow food there, I was in that position, and so I started to do that and plant seeds, and as we kind of settled. And now we've been in a space for a little bit, and I've had an opportunity to experiment with a few gardens here, and my latest one is what I'll show you. And there is then the loofah is really kind of this pivotal crop, this pivotal thing that I've created, that I've nurtured. And I want to just give like a shout out to my friend. I just had this realization. My friend and midwife Selena actually gave me the loofah seeds and some hollyhock seeds about a year ago. God, I wish it only a year ago. And that really, I mean, they've been so prolific in my life, in my space. It's been amazing. So wherever you are in the world, Selena, thank you so much. Blessings to you for your blessings to me. And and also, I was guided to Oponopono practice. Came across the book Zero Limits at the library and listened to that and discovered this practice, which just fell in alignment with the movement practice, and hula, which is something that I studied as a little, for 13 years, dance, and hula was my absolute favorite. And to discover I've been doing a spiritual practice that whole time was awesome. But Oponopono is about the practice of cleaning your thoughts and how you're seeing the world. And so I got certified as a Oponopono practitioner. And then also these loofah that clean for us, that clean our environment. We can use it to clean our body. Just kind of synergetically comes into the picture too for me. So amazing. So it's been an amazing journey to see that these seeds, sometimes they are literal seeds here in the garden, and sometimes they're figurative seeds, concepts about cleaning our energy and our thought and getting out of our trauma and trying to clean our nervous system. When we talk about the experience, sometimes our nervous system thinks that, oh my gosh, it's happening again, and it's trying to clean that out to say, for me, for myself, it's okay, I need to talk about this, and it's okay to talk about this, because there's a lot of people that have losses and are seeking a more holistic and alternative way to cope. Remedies that don't have side effects that are worse than what you're experiencing in your grief and your sadness and your trauma. And so I'm super excited and just grateful to share, super humbled to be here to share my experience with you in your time of seeking out grief remedy. And this was my story, this pivotal part of the story that I shared at the beginning was 2010, 2011 is when my son passed away. My dad passed away the fall of 2010, and then Lucas, my son, May 2011. And May is also when I discovered that I wouldn't be starting nursing school that fall either. So that time frame. So it's been enough time to work through a lot. But as you can tell, I still cry, I still get sad about it. But it still the message needs to be shared, and I need to do this. So thank you if you're still watching. So I'll take you on a quick little tour now of the garden. It doesn't really look that good right now because it's the winter. It's January here. And we did just have a freeze, mild frost, I guess, really, technically. But this being a channel about grief and death and loss, I thought that's super appropriate that my garden's kind of dead. and it's weird because being in that energetic place of being okay with death, That's been a huge lesson for me, and I think that that's part of what needs to come to the table as a topic of conversation in our modern world, is how we deal with death and how we honor death, or how we're not honoring death right now, maybe, and that we need to, that death and birth and those moments, portals of our life, are very, very important to what happens in between. So with that, let's take a little toursy. This is one of my masks I've had for a long, long time. I feel like she kind of protects, and I like it. That's cool. These are, and I'm not gonna know all the flower names because that's just not how I operate. Ranunculus? It's not Ranunculus. I used to work at a flower shop, side note, and I knew all those cut flowers names. But Nostromeria, maybe. They're edible flowers. You can see it. You can recognize it. It's those edible flowers. Does nice, does well in the cooler temperatures. So these guys just really got planted recently, and then the rosemary is been around for a while. I cut that one back kind of recently. Smells good. It's supposed to help your memory, which is helpful when you're grieving, remember different things. And we've got some marigolds, which I think are really cool and fun too in a grief garden, because we have Day of the Dead, and the marigolds are like the flower for Dia dos Muertos. So that's going there. These are kind of helping me just monitor. I figure if these guys are doing okay, then maybe this new cypress is doing good. And the cypress, I love cypress, and they do good in the desert. I give it a nice slow long soak. This one's got some good stories. I'll share you some funny stories about each plant. Maybe that'll be a good content thing. And I did this. Okay, so I got the seeds from my friend, I said, in last year in the spring, and then I planted them in the spring, because that's what you do, right? It's springtime, everything grows, right? We have this. No, that's not right. So I had these vines, and they grew, and I had immense amount, and it was a beautiful vine. And against these concrete walls that we live in, it was really, really nice, because it was green instead of brick concrete. So, but nothing was happening. I wasn't getting any flowers, I wasn't getting any fruit. So I finally got curious enough to do some research and discovered that the temperature is an activator for the loofah. And so I had to wait until the temperature dropped. There was like a certain difference between the day and the night, and then that would activate whatever, and then it would start to create flowers, and then that happened. And so then so then I planted more, was what I was getting at. So then I knew, oh my gosh, this is how this is gonna work, so I'm gonna plant more. And so we had to just vine stuff like crazy all over the place. There was all kinds of crazy stuff. And my poor neighbor, she I think went over to her yard, and she was throwing it over one day, and I was ran out here to explain myself and my vines, and she was very sweet and understanding. My neighbors are very neighborly and kind, and just whatever that thing is about, they're neighbors in these days. I feel like that's just not true. Your neighbors can be whatever you want, whatever relationship you offer them. So I explained that these weren't going to last forever, and that we were going to get loofah. And she said, what? We're going to do, what is this? I had no idea that's where these sponges come from. And I said, I know, right? This is amazing. This is so fun. Blowing minds all over town. And so you can see the other video I posted yesterday about our first peel. Because we did an experiment and cut it up. And another friend of mine who I'm going to be collaborating with, who makes homemade soap, did an experiment batch, and then I gave some to people to see like how do they like it and stuff. Gave one to my neighbor, and so she's got, you know, she got a little something for her, for the fact that my vine might be intruding on her backyard, but it was nice and beautiful, and but she has vines too, so they're starting to like intermingle. So yes, so back to the loofah and the garden. Sweet potatoes. I had a nice sweet potato vine patch. Kind of was also very aesthetically pleasing. Didn't really have any food produce, but when you buy the sweet potato and then you never get around to cooking it, you can just plant it in the ground, and then you'll get some vegetation. And it looks nice. And I've got some cilantro here, and more nastromedium. I think that's how you say it. Here's the hollyhocks that came from Selena too. So it's crazy, and I have them all out front also. Some strawberries, those are from last year, and they're coming back. I saw a flower. Snap peas, and these were in my arugula. Here, I cut my arugula back because it's just so bitter. I thought maybe if I can get it when it's younger. The aftertaste, though, still like super bitter. I read somewhere that they said it's genetic, that if the arugula is super bitter to you, it's just some sort of genetic thing. But I've had arugula before, different places, and it hasn't been like this. But I know bitters are good for you and your liver, so I'll just try to like get a little bit from it, just here and there. And this is a fever-reducing herb, and I haven't had to use it, thank goodness, yet. Can make a tea, I guess. I'll have to research. I just thought it would be nice to have it on hand. I need to weed. Basil. Basil froze. It's quite old. But basil and watermelon was really, with balsamic drizzle. Such a good treat this last summer. Let me know what kind of snacks you like that. I love snack ideas. Please always share good snack ideas. This is a spinach, and I haven't, is that even gonna get it? I haven't eaten anything off it. It hasn't really, there's like 2 leaves. And then I think I have spinach over here. I think it's spinach. I grow stuff and I'm like, I don't need to label it. I'll know when it gets here. And then like before it's mature, I'm not sure what it is I'm dealing with. But maybe I'll learn and make some notes. I'm getting better at that. This I think is a little baby cauliflower. Got a little head in there. See, I thought it was some sort of like spinach. I thought this one was spinach, so I've been eating the leaves, like putting the leaves in sandwiches and stuff. But now that I've cut those off, now they're coming back like super, super duper thick. Really, really strong. So, and then I saw the little baby head in there, and I'm like, oops. This tomato, oh my gosh, this one's doing amazing. Like, it's incredible. It's like an heirloom, I think. It's really pretty. And that one was almost a goner, and then that one came back to life. The grief garden has a lot of resurrection, which is awesome. I want to share with you here. So, other gourds. Here is some other interesting gourds. pumpkin gourd. And this will be an art piece. My daughter is crazy creative person, artist, so we thought we would grow her some gourds that she could paint and make things out of. So we got a few, and then these guys are coming in too, protected from the frost. See, some of it just got damaged by the cold. But if you want a commissioned gourd art piece, make a comment below. Or if you want a loofah, got some more here. Oh, the ants found me. Repurposed play equipment vine for some loofah. And so that is the garden here. There's one of the sunflowers. So, here's a cool story about the sunflowers. So, not this year when we got the loofah going, but the year before, I knew, because, we're in the desert and the weather's extreme, we would have to do some, protect our plants if we're going to grow them. So I had this idea that I would grow a sunflower forest and then grow the food underneath the sunflower forest. And that's been super fun. And it seemed to work. It got things, to a certain point, obviously. But yeah, they're great. Super amazing, right? And the birds that come to eat them. Here's one that I just leave for the birds to eat. And they come and peck it. And we usually have a lot of birds around if we're in the house. I'll show you, here is another little garden. So I'm moving into edible flowers. I got some ideas about flowers and then edible flowers. So maybe that looks like what's over in the back that I thought was spinach, but it's supposed to be edible flowers over here. So we'll have to wait and kind of see. And that's kind of what's fun, I guess, in this place of, getting out of trauma and grief, is having these positive mysteries in our life, that are totally benign. What's that seed gonna be? It's gonna be a flower or food. Or here's some more of the hollyhocks. These guys just keep on giving. They are so awesome. Love them. Remind me of my Nana. And she's passed away. And that was a really sad time too. And a huge shift in my life. So anyway, that's the garden for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Look forward to hearing anything you want to share with me about your gardening journey, any loss or anything that you're struggling with. I am available for Oponopono consultation. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, we can talk about that. Have a good day, and I will talk to you next time.